Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Environmental with Dandelion. We're your hosts, Ob and Court. And today we are so excited to be talking about a really cool, really innovative product in the sustainable packaging space. And we have an incredible guest.
Yeah, but before we jump in, please like and subscribe. We have a goal. We want to hit 300 subscribers this month, and it would be super helpful. You could just hit that little button down there.
Ding. Yes. Yes, so we are so excited. We are joined today by Kela Feller, who is the Communications and Partnership Manager at ZEOS. Kela, thank you so much for being here.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be on today.
Yes, absolutely. So happy to have you. So can you tell us a little bit about ZEOS and what you're all about?
Yeah, of course. Excuse my voice. It's a little raspy today. So ZEOS is a green tech company. Our lab is based here in Barcelona, and we focus on making the next generation of packaging based from seaweed. So basically, a lot of us know the issues with plastic pollution. And so it's really, the main ones start from the feedstock itself, which is fossil fuels, and the end of life of the product. Oftentimes, or the majority of the time, plastic ends up leaking into natural waste streams, which causes pollution and harms natural environments, especially aquatic ones. And this has had several ramifications, leading to disrupting ecosystems, and also the creation of microplastics, which is new studies are showing that this is also affecting humans and being found in our food streams. And yeah, it's a big problem, and I think that a lot of consumers are becoming more and more aware of that. And so this has created a demand in the market for sustainable packaging. So yeah, ZEOS is really just trying to fill that gap in the market and provide consumers with something that is truly sustainable, because there are some packaging that is labeled as quote unquote biodegradable or etc. And these quote unquote bioplastics are actually more so deceptive. And some of them are not actually a true solution that's going to solve this issue. It's kind of almost deceptive marketing, aka greenwashing. Which I'm sure you guys are super familiar with that.
Unfortunately, yes.
So basically, with ZEOS, why we chose seaweed is because seaweed is kind of this miracle crop. So first off, seaweed grows incredibly fast. It grows about 25 times faster than land-based plants. Another thing is seaweed is kind of this carbon sequestration powerhouse. As it grows, it naturally sequesters carbon from the atmosphere, so kind of making it this nature-driven solution towards climate change. Also, as it grows, it actually removes excess nitrates from the water, which helps combat ocean acidification. Yeah, which combats ocean acidification, which is usually caused by agricultural runoff, leading, and also just the warming waters as well. It's just a shift in nutrients and stuff like that. And yeah, seaweed also provides, it fosters marine biodiversity, because wherever there's seaweed in the water, there's also life. It's a food source for many, it's a shelter. So it's really just this center for life. And so yeah, it's also incredibly abundant. And so, yeah, that's kind of why we've chose it as our biomass. And it can, and it's biopolymers can be made into packaging applications. So
Yeah,
that's why
really
we focus on seaweed.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. Yes. Like there's no downside. I see no downside. You see.
Well, I mean, of course, like so we're actually, we work with seaweed cultivators who grow and cultivate the seaweed. And then we focus on material compounding, which is basically like developing formulations that, yeah, can basically manipulate seaweed extract and turn it into suitable packaging and final products. So we work on that. And then also we work directly with manufacturers to help create either the final product, which it comes usually in a form of like flexible films or paper coating. Those are like the main applications we're trying to replace. And or in the form of pellets. So we've developed these seaweed-based pellets that we, in the future, hope to, in addition to final products to food retailers, also sell these pellets to converters. And converters are basically just people who create packaging and then sell it to whoever needs it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Wow.
So you can work with the manufacturers, or you can just sell the raw materials to the manufacturers.
So we partner up with the manufacturer, and the pellets are basically, it's the foundation of all packaging. It's the same for packaging that you're familiar with. Before it's in its final form, per se, it comes in this form of pellets. And then they go through different processes, different machines, different techniques, and you get a final product. So we have been developing seaweed-based pellets instead of fossil-based pellets. So you can, yeah. So you can also, we wouldn't be selling the raw materials, but we would be in the future be selling these pellets to converters who would then use that to make packaging.
That makes sense. So there's still like a process to creating those pellets that you do to kind of refine it, but they can then take that final step of actually creating that into packaging. And it's like a film, right? It's kind of like a thin plastic. Is that right? It's not like hard plastic packaging, like, I don't know, something like this or something. It's
Or
more
like it wouldn't
flexible
be like
plastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically flexible films. I can actually grab a sample.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love to see the prototypes and what you're.
Yeah, so one example of a seaweed-based film that could replace fossil-based films is what we call a window. So you've probably seen it. So this is like a little mini baguette. So you've probably seen this in the supermarket where there's paper products that have like a little window that has plastic. So we have a few prototypes that have replaced that window with our seaweed-based films. And the films are really versatile. It can be used in several different applications. Another application is they're called sachets, which can be used for snacks. So this one basically has just some nuts in it. And then this one, is another seaweed-based sachet that has some more little snacks in there as well. And then for different applications, some of the films are soluble, so they can replace fossil-based detergent pods as well.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Whoa, because that goes straight into the waterways.
That's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, honestly, there's so many possibilities in terms of which applications seaweed-based packaging can be used for. Really, where we're at, it's just that it's research and development. Packaging is actually a lot more complex than you would think.
Yes.
There's a lot of factors that affect it. So since seaweed for biomaterials is such a new field, it's taking time. You have to see, what's the shelf life for this? Can it handle the X amount of humidity? Is it durable? Can it handle moisture? So that's really, I would say, what we're focusing on is just really identifying these bottlenecks. So at the moment, we're most suitable for dry and greasy products, but as we continue to, with R&D, these bottlenecks, kind of find solutions and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But yeah, just one more little thing. This is kind of what the pellets look like.
We were looking on your website at the, that's really interesting.
So
and they
basically
get like
what
squished
happens,
out.
Yeah, so basically it actually starts out as a filament. So this is a seaweed-based filament. So
it looks like a noodle.
Exactly, it looks like spaghetti. We call them spaghettis here. So it starts and then it goes through a machine that cuts them and makes them into pellets. And then with these pellets, then you use them in different just machinery. So mainly cast extrusion, blow molding. Those are a few examples, and that's how you make packaging, essentially. But yeah, that's kind of what makes ZEOS stand out, is actually the ability to use conventional machinery. We kind of go beyond a lab setting, because there are other companies that are producing great things as well, but kind of a bit more so lab scale. And I think in order to kind of make a real impact in terms of scale, there needs to be the technology in order to scale out the solution, in order for it to actually make that impact, I think.
Wow. Thank you so much for showing those, because that definitely makes it, I don't know, it's easier to conceptualize for sure.
Yeah, we're also working on developing single use. Yeah, so this is a cup. This also has,
and they're single use because they get squishy, or
well, I usually single use is just, it's better for our applications, since plastic, when it's used, especially with like liquids, nothing happens because it's hydrophobic, it repels water. But seaweed is hydrophilic, so it really likes water. So just applications at this moment, at least with a shorter shelf life, meaning like also you can say shorter shelf life with use as well, just kind of makes more sense at this moment. And also, I mean, single-use plastics are a huge issue, so it's also a good alternative to that as well. Yeah. But I actually wanted to go into the point where you said that there's no downside. So yeah, there's, just to like kind of play devil's advocate, not devil's advocate, but these are just things
the reality of it. Absolutely.
So one thing is to make sure that seaweed remains sustainable is it's just the way it's cultivated, and since it's a new industry, I mean, there's been seaweed cultivation for like centuries, but I think when we're thinking about it at scale and stuff like that, like I think a lot of people ask, like, can you scale this out and can it be done sustainably, so it's just making sure that there's regulations to make sure that it's being grown, and it's just harder to regulate
Yeah.
things that are not grown on land. It's
Sure.
harder to calculate everything. It's hard to supervise everything when it's
Yeah.
aquaculture. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I would just say, like, in order to ensure that seaweed as a biomaterial remains like truly sustainable, there has to also be like regulations from government entities and just certain standards like
Yeah.
agriculture that need to be met in order to not harm or
Yeah.
disrupt natural
Definitely.
processes.
That
I
makes sense.
Are
think
We
that's
don't
there,
want anybody to go wild harvest all the seaweed out there and like think
yeah,
that
please
they're
don't.
exactly.
making a bunch of money from it. Like that totally. Yeah, no, there's quite a
Yeah,
Yeah.
process also needed to take the raw material into something that's usable. So it's
Mhm.
certainly something that, yeah,
Are
needs to be
there,
done on a different scale.
yeah, are there any laws around it or any laws coming? I know that like legislation is always behind
yeah,
innovation. So
yeah,
I
for
wonder
sure.
if that's, yeah, something you guys have thought about or are working towards or partnered with or know anything about.
Yeah. So since we are, like I said, we don't cultivate the seaweed, but we work closely with our seaweed partners who do. So that's, I wouldn't say that's my specialization. However, I mean, it also depends um, on the jurisdiction, like in terms of regulation and laws and stuff like that. But in the EU, I definitely think that there's a conversation and that there's um, probably mainly Nordic countries that are like developing these laws and regulations. However, I'm not aware of specific ones at the moment, but I think that definitely our seaweed partners are on top of that and are follow that really closely. But yeah, no, for us too, especially in terms of when we scale up, it's very important to have this insight on our supply and its ability to stay reliable and consistent and not run into these types of problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's something that most industries to date have yet to do, right? They're like, in the beginning, they're like, it's abundant, we're fine.
Mhm.
And then they just kind of like take. And
Yeah.
then, like in Michigan, for instance, where I'm from, all the cedar trees are gone because cedar tree,
Mm.
like they didn't learn how the cedar plant grows, which is from other cedar trees. Like, so now that industry is gone there and they've planted rows and rows of pine trees, which is
Mm.
not much better, right? They just cut them down and then they have to take another 18 years. Like they didn't do the research until it was already too late. I appreciate that you're doing it up front.
We are committed to being a sustainable company. And I think, in order to truly be sustainable, you have to think of things really from start to finish. And also just in a more circular way than like what you were describing, just very linear sounding, like just cut, use, dispose, and continue the cycle. But yeah, another aspect of making sure seaweed-based packaging is sustainable is actually the disposal of it at the end of life. So while our products are completely biodegradable and they're also home compostable, I've done a test on my balcony, and the sample degraded in less than like 7 weeks. So it
Wow.
degrades really, really fast, and you don't need any special facilities.
Amazing.
So
Was
that's
it degrade too fast? 7 weeks isn't very long. Like if it's in, does it need to be stored a certain way or?
that's if you put it in like a garden or compost
Yeah.
setting. It won't
Okay.
degrade like on your countertop or something like that.
Okay.
But if you throw it away in a garden setting where there's soil and moisture and microorganisms, yeah, it's going to compost. But having said that, I would say a lot of consumers when there are materials that are considered as biodegradable, they don't really know where to throw that away, which bin, or even if people should be sorting. But I think it requires just some education. Even when I first started, I was asking myself, like, so if it's home compostable, but I don't, a lot of people live in apartments and they don't have a compost bin, it's not possible. Where do I throw this away? And so it would go in the kind of quote unquote the green. In the US, it's like the green trash can, where you put all the bio waste essentially. So all the gardening materials, and so it goes in there and it's processed like that. So it's also important to kind of have this, to make it clear for consumers to know, okay, this goes here, because it's not always clear and it contaminates different bins.
Yeah, especially with like the windows, like, do you pull out the windows and put the one in the, paper bin and the other one in the green bin? Like, I think that's very unclear most of the time, even even here.
It's definitely, you have to kind of work on creating like a nuanced and clear end of life scenario. So I think that's something we also think about and run tests on as well.
I mean, cool. I think the folks that would be most interested in this package, I think package type, like, would likely kind of understand that like to be conscious of that end of life, and like that there are mixed materials in this packaging that they're holding, and it's like a different, that type of consumer, it seems like is more open to, a little, I don't know, icon or something at the bottom that communicates to them where to put each part or something like that. So that's
for sure
part to develop, though, for sure.
Yeah. I have a specific use question because, and I think I connected you with my friend Michael, but there's a lot of paper packaging and like people out there that are working towards building paper packaging that isn't harmful, but so much of paper packaging has that HDPE, like that tiny plastic lining. And I'm wondering if this is something useful for that. I'm thinking for bottles, or even like when you get ramen to go and then you pour it into that paper bowl and it has that lining,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely an application that we've been looking at, is just paper coating, is what we call that. And it's definitely, like, visually it looks like a more sustainable alternative, but there's still plastic in it. So it's definitely not the best. So we are developing paper coatings to replace that specific application.
That's really cool.
So cool.
That's like one of those like insidious, like sneaky microplastic creators in our bodies and in the world generally. So
yeah, definitely.
And I saw that there's something on the site that mentions you have sort of like a collaboration with Nestle. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, since we're a startup, we rely at the moment a lot on grants or on pilot projects. And so we collaborated with Nestle to do a pilot project, which is basically where we get to work with them in order to identify which applications in their portfolio would be suitable for our products, and then also just running tests on their machinery and creating prototypes and envisioning, working hands-on to envision what this could potentially look like for Nestle.
That's incredible.
So,
what an amazing opportunity to really show it in action.
Yeah, for sure. And also just running using machinery it's not free. So these are also, so doing these collaborations help us also with our R&D and just really being able to also work directly with potential customers and find out which, what products in their portfolio are they targeting? How can we reduce their overall carbon footprint in that portfolio, and how would that look like? So that's usually what pilot programs / collaborations look like.
And Nestle is like a big polluter, so it's really awesome that you're like, actually, we're going to help you solve that. Like, just kind of getting in there a little. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I think it's really important to actually work with the big polluters with a solution rather than criticize, because I mean, we can talk all day about problems, but I think the conversation about solutions and focusing and being solution driven is more interesting. And so that's what, like, at ZEOS, really what we focus on. That's why we try not to focus too much on the problem, because I think everyone is very, very familiar with the issues. And I would say more so we're trying to highlight that this is the best solution, because recycling is not going to solve all of our problems. We're consuming and generating too much plastic in order for recycling to fully meet demand. And there's other bioplastics that are not really truly sustainable. They have a lot of toxic chemicals and additives, and it's very unclear that they're mixed with most of them are mixed with fossil based polymers. And then others are good alternatives for sure, but not as good as seaweed. I would say. But also, like, I think it's great that there's a variety of solutions. Like, we can't do it all. There's so many different applications. Like, we're definitely not trying to cover everything, because that would be super ambitious. So we're really happy that there are different biomaterials that are really emerging right now. So I think it's just, as I previously mentioned, just important to be very transparent and make it clear for consumers that, just not being deceptive to the consumer, because that's teetering on a line of ethics.
I'm not sure that's teetering. I think being deceptive to your consumer is unethical.
Okay.
Mince words. Okay, Abba.
No, I don't. I think that you should. I mean, that's Dandelion's main platform, right? Is like, be transparent, be truthful. Like, there's no reason to teeter there, especially if you have a product like yours. And also, I think that I've talked you up because I get really excited about people that we talk to, and I'm like, I just talked to this company called ZEOS, because we have talked before, and I always go to the most amazing thing is that it can be used with conventional machinery, because early on in EnvironMental, we spoke with a woman that helps run recycling plants around the country, and her big thing was, we have one of the biggest issues, which is so much cannot be recycled or cannot be composted, because people try to come up with these like innovative solutions, and then it ends up that we need to have all new machinery. And recycling plants, oftentimes, if they're not, they're government based, but like they're kind of a separate thing. So if they're just, and they're already super underfunded. So if you need a special new machine for this one type of bioplastic or whatever, it's not going to happen, and all that's going to go to waste. So this has a really lovely like startup life for small businesses who aren't going to invest in a new machine. And it has a really lovely end of life where you can just be like, goodbye. Like it kind of can go wherever I think if it ends up in plastic recycling, it would probably totally like be dissolved by the time it got through the entire thing, right? So it's really lovely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's a lack of infrastructure for recycling, and now there's all these bioplastics and biomaterials that are like, oh, this is industrially compostable, but that requires infrastructure as well. So
yeah,
where does that go then?
A lot
Then
of places don't have.
Exactly. So people, can put it in the recycling bin, and it contaminates the recycling bin. So it doesn't make, the small knit of the recycling industry happy with these materials. So it's very important to identify a clear end of life stream and make it clear for all the stakeholders, because I mean, otherwise it's good on the front end, but you want to, like I said in the beginning with fossil-based plastics, it's really the feedstock and then end of life, because in terms of use, it's quite functional product, but it's really those two. So that's what we're trying to tackle. So I would say, like, okay, front end is good, but then you also need to make sure that the back end, the end of life, is also good. So and makes sense and works in this system that's actually, it's complex.
It's really complex.
So definitely, I would say that ZEOS is definitely kind of leading the way in that sense.
Yeah, we certainly think so.
And are your products are they still sort of in R&D phase, or are any available and to be used yet, I suppose? Yeah.
So we are actually so the term is a technology readiness level number 7. So that basically means so that basically means that we're not quite yet on the market. We are still in an R&D phase, but we have produced many tangible prototypes and have several proof of concepts. And so we hope to be on the market by next year, though.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Getting to 7 is a big challenge. That's big. My my partner worked for a company that did R&D, and getting to 7 was like super hard. That's the hard part. The rest of it is like, do you meet requirements, and do you can you, if you have proof of concept, you're most you'll get there soon. I know you can do it. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the company has also, it's been around since 2018, so it's been growing for some time, but also has, still a lot of growth to do. But I think it's steadily been growing in the right direction.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, your website is really beautiful. I think it really, really nicely communicates the value of the product, kind of all of the uses, as well as the issues, right? And
Thank you.
I can't wait until folks can start using it for their small business.
For sure. I invite you guys to just stay connected with us on social media. We're pretty active there, so it will keep you updated on our news and where we're at. And
while we're talking about it, I guess, how can people get a hold of you?
So you can either, we have a contact email that can be reached via the website. So any inquiries can be sent there. Also, people can contact me directly. and I'm pretty good at getting back to people, or at least I try to be. And also, yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, you can also reach us, send us a DM on Instagram, reach out to us on LinkedIn, whichever that works.
Nice.
I would say, yeah, the three main ones is just website, LinkedIn, social media. If it's a very specific request, then you can email me. But
Great.
yeah.
We will put all of that information and your handles in the show notes as well. So
definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Kela. Wow. Cannot wait to stay tuned and watch as BZEOS grows. So exciting.
yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a great day. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.